So, I had some other topics that I wanted to talk about, but it feels like anytime we try to talk about something else, we're just back here where we started. Yes, it has been several days, and everyone is still mad. What is everyone mad about? Well, of course, it is still Hextech chests. And it is such a big topic right now that not only did it go beyond just the League of Legends audience, and people from other games are still talking about what is happening here, but it got to a point where everyone is wondering, what can Riot do at this point? And that is what we're gonna talk about today. As I mentioned, everyone is still talking about Hextech chests, so you know what? I'm riding that train too. So, just so you know, there have been no further developments, there have been no new announcements on the state of Hextech chests. It's just that the community's reaction is getting more and more out of control. If you go back to the video where we talked about how it got originally announced, I was already kinda in shock because I did not expect Riot to double down. But now, looking at community's reaction on top of that, oh boy, they should have not done that. I mean, under no metric whatsoever would it make sense for Riot to take away Hextech chests, which is something I did not realize was part of League of Legends for longer than it has not been. Which means if for most of their lives players are used to getting free skins from League of Legends, taking that away is really bad. This is such a known marketing tool too. Everyone knows that once you give people something, if you then take it away, it is 100 times worse than if you had never given it to them in the first place. And so from the perspective of monetization, taking these chests away was not a great idea. Again, these chests might take away like 5% of your income at most. It is extremely rare for someone to get something from the Hextech chests which they would have otherwise paid for. And yes, continuing along this chain, even from Riot's reputation perspective, it also wasn't a great idea to take these chests away. Again, have a look at what happened. This might have been the biggest hit into Riot's reputation we've had since that infamous cinematic. But what's worse, normally it is obvious to see what Riot should do to fix their mistakes. But in this situation, Riot told us there is a problem and they are trying to fix it. And so that's what they are trying to do, but since every solution comes at a reputation hit, no one's really sure what they should be doing now. Besides that one obvious thing. You know, giving us the chests back. And so, as relentless as the community is, it went wild again. And so now, every time we get anything from League of Legends, the comments are still the same. The Hextech chest art is getting way more creative, which also includes the fact that, yes, Meddler and Pabro are now the faces of this meme. Now, while I never support personal attacks on any riders whatsoever, this situation is still better than what happened with the infamous cinematic, because when that happened, people had nobody to blame. And you know what happens when no one is a target? The relentless League of Legends audience just personally attacks every Rioter they see. And that is what happened. That's why, when that cinematic dropped, you had so many Rioters just turning their accounts private. Because there was no one in the leadership taking the blame, that situation sucked. So even though it sucks to be Pablo and Meddler from that perspective right now, being turned into a meme is still better than personal attacks. But meme art is not the only thing that's circling around. Because people also made custom Hextech chest skins. After which people also made entire Hextech concept champions. Like damn! I have not seen this community this creatively united. But of course what happened on top of this is that now, after people realized that League of Legends made a really bad move, everyone wanted to migrate somewhere else. This happens every time any game does anything wrong. It is called dead game and then people download something else. Now in the case of League of Legends, things are different. Because we all know this audience, you might uninstall League, but you'll be back in like a month. We've all been there. But the truth is, outside of the big games that people already play right now, gaming in general is kinda stuck in a limbo where there are no big games that are really drawing people in. And so when people asked, hey, what else should I play besides League? People said Marvel Rivals, sure. There are also people saying that the Dota Battle Pass is pretty good. I'll be honest, I have not heard about Dota in a while. But best of all, there have been so many people saying that everyone should go and play Supervive. In case you don't know, this is a game we have talked about in the past. It is a game made by former Rioters, and it is actually a really cool arena battle royale styled game. And it's just funny to see that so many people are now pointing out this one game made by former Rioters. Also, literally yesterday, Overwatch added their loot boxes back. I swear this timeline is not real. Anyway, as we mentioned, Hextech chests made a pretty big dent into Riot's reputation. So the big question is, what should they do? I mean, the obvious answer is, give us the Hextech chests back. And right now, this feels like a really big challenge for Riot Games. Because in the history of anything Riot has done, after they had doubled down on a decision, they never backed away from that. Which is exactly what situation they are in right now. They doubled down on a bad decision, the backlash got twice as bad, and now they have to just say, hey, you were right, people, here are some Hextech chests. I still cannot imagine them doing that. But that is what they have to do. Which brings up the question, what if there are some other reasons why the Hextech chests were taken away? Again, Riot said that they do have financial troubles with League of Legends, people are not buying as many skins as they once used to, and so they are trying to remove Hextech chests. Now, what if one of the reasons why they did this is because in, for example, Europe, there are countries where gambling in video games is legal. Some people pointed this out, to which I would say, no shot. If they are removing Hextech chest as a randomized loot acquisition, what the heck is that? So yes, I strongly doubt Riot is forced into this because of laws. In hindsight, if you look back at Riot's decisions, it just really looks like League is in trouble. I mean, remember when League took away the Twitch Prime deal? Without any big details? They just said, hey, it was a bad deal for us, and so it will be no longer. If we look back at that now, it is obvious why they've done it. Twitch Prime loot capsules were really good. You get a lot of skins and, more importantly, a lot of mythic essence. So at first they nerfed it, and it still wasn't enough, so then they took it away, just like Hextech chests. So again, everything lines up. So, for a moment, let's assume that Riot is in a really big trouble and League is kinda on fire, which it is, just from a reputation point now. Well, they still have to give us Hextech chests, there is no other way they can fix their reputation, but if they do, I would not be surprised if they had to limit them somehow. I mean, even in the old system, there was a cap on how many chests you could have gotten. So it's not like people were able to farm chests over and over again. In fact, this brought up another great question. What if one of the reasons why Hextech chests were taken away? Because in the old times before Vanguard, when we had 99% more bots in the game, people were selling accounts with a lot of skins from the Hextech chests alone. This is something I haven't seen anyone point out. But yes, in the old system, on the black market, if someone was selling an account just for leveling it up, they also had a lot of chests on that account. And since these chests were also able to give you some really good skins, even though the chance was quite low, to the botters, it still would be worth it to get these accounts to roll on a good skin, and if a good skin drops, well, now you can sell an account for a higher price. That said, this entire argument crumbles because of Vanguard. In case you don't know, even though a lot of people didn't like that anti-cheat alone got rid of 99% of all bots in the game. Which would mean, Hextech chests would still be safe. Which brings us into the one solution that Riot has that would fix all of their problems. People would not like it that much, but it would solve things. And that is fully leaning into the gacha system. Yes, Riot can do that. And in fact, I can guarantee you, if at first they came out and they said, hey, League is not making that much money, so to get into a sustainable place, we're gonna introduce gacha. If they did that, at least a portion of the community would understand. I mean, have a look at Legends of Runeterra. That game was way too good for the players. Too good, like it didn't earn any money. So what if League was heading into that direction too? I think that is absolutely an extreme case. But if something like this was going on, if Riot said that, then at the very least, people would start a conversation about what Riot could do. Now the conversation is about how much Riot is burning. Which brings us to the best solution that Riot can go for. The absolutely best outcome that can happen is that Riot just gives us the chests and they make quality skins. Now yes, I know, this may be slightly passive-aggressive, but it is no secret that people are not really buying skins because they don't really like the skins. And that is because, few years back, Riot got into the state where they were just pumping out more and more skins, and everything was part of a skin line. The reason why this happened is because Riot found out that skins in bundles just sell more. So if, instead of just random skins dropping left and right, if they put them all into one united thematic and release them all as a skin line, there would be a higher chance of them selling. Now in the video, Pablo even mentioned that this quickly hit diminishing returns. So here's what that means. On one side, one could think that once you come up with a skin line, you can just pump out more and more champions in that skin line because hey, the concepting is already done. But it's not really. You have an idea, but you still have to make skins for that individually. It's not like a skin line can reuse assets from the other skins. In extreme cases, they can do that with shared recalls or something like that, but for the most part, you are still making skins individually. Which means there are no real benefits for having multiple skins releasing being part of the same skin line. That's where the diminishing returns came in. If you make the Infernal skin line, for example, all champions are on fire, and that's it. There is no reason for them to be on fire, they just are because that's the skin line. In the golden days of League of Legends, where people were really buying skins a lot, those were times when individual champions got really cool skins that were tailored to those champions. And that is what Riot should be focusing on. Take a step back, screw the idea of just skin lines dictating who gets what skin, and just have a look at a champion and give them the first cool idea for a skin you get. This is actually how the first skins for League were made. Do you think they had the entire designer teams behind them? No, it was just the devs thinking, hey, that would be a cool skin, we should make that. And in my opinion, that's where League needs to get right now. They just need to make cool skins for individual champions. They kinda started doing that with the Eternia Azir and Janitor Thresh. But after those two skins, it's like everything reset. Now they are back to just skin lines. And worst of all, Riot just kicked all of their skin designers. Yes, during the layoffs, a lot of the skin artists were let go. Again, in hindsight, maybe League really is in financial trouble. But this idea of cool skins works, and we have a proof for that. Look no further than TFT. That's right, TFT lives and dies by cool skins. They don't really have skin lines, as you would call it. Sure, sometimes little legends share a thematic. That's about it. But the truth is, even those weren't really that popular. Instead, TFT is making a lot of money because people want to spend money in that game on cool things. Something which might be missing in League of Legends. Also, it's really funny how recently TFT announced that eggs are going away. But no one really cares, because unlike Hextech chests, not many people really use those eggs. But also, it's been a while since we got any eggs at all. But again, here TFT removed free progression, and what is the response? No one really cares. Why? Because people are getting cool things. You could even argue that TFT's monetization is more aggressive than League's. They started pushing for legendary priced skins. Chibis in general are quite a bit more expensive, and they even have their own gacha machines with boards and even more chibis. But there, over time, people got fine with it. Now don't get me wrong, I remember the early days of everyone raging about $200 boards. And while those prices are absolutely artificial, there is a reason why people kinda wave their hands over this. And that's because, truth be told, there is quality behind those skins. I hate to say it because I don't like the chibi style, but the chibi champions are creative and they are high quality. Not to mention, the boards have entirely new features depending on what kind of a board it is. In comparison, if you have a look at League of Legends, for example, we can have a look at the gacha Jinx skin, even by TFT standards, that skin was not that great. And so, that's the current situation. People are still quite mad about Hextech chests. But the reality might be that this is kinda a wake-up call for League's quality. Not when it comes to gameplay or game modes. In reality, those teams have been killing it. But when it comes to monetization and skins, things could be better. And yes, Riot, you could make it all better by giving people back their Hextech chests. I know, you might be backed into a corner and it makes sense. But please, just give people the chests back. There is still a really dark side to this. We might lose the Hextech memes. But just like 1,000 years of experience and champion kits not being overloaded, I can guarantee you, these memes will be remembered forever.